Ie Jesu Domine, dona eis requiem.
Good morning, everybody, and happy Monday. I didn't record anything yesterday because, once again, it usually doesn't happen in the morning. I rarely do these in the afternoon or evening. I mean, I'm only doing 5 minutes, but in my life of distraction and busyness, sometimes you just get skipped. But I like to do them every day if I can. Today is the feast day of St. Charles Lwanga and the church, and the Ugandan martyrs. And I thought I'd do a little prequel to what I'm probably going to be preaching about this morning. You'll get the long edition since homilies are only about 2 or 3 minutes on a weekday. And I think I covered this earlier. I really have some questions about systemic racism. To believe that a whole culture anymore is racist, especially in the United States, like white culture in particular, which is ridiculous because white culture is very diverse. I mean, it's this is what flabbergasted me. A century ago, Europeans were killing one another. There was no great happy bond among all people of European descent. In fact, if you go back 2 centuries, every group stuck to itself. There wasn't a lot of intermarrying between the different European groups. About the only ones who did it were the royals in different nations, because you had to marry somebody of equal status. But for the most part, every group kept to themselves. I mean, this country has been the great, melting pot, and that's something we should be mindful of. So I always like to say, let's talk about racism, because that just paints with a broad brush a group of people. Now, there are people who can be brought together for a racist purpose. People like the Ku Klux Klan. I would say people like the Black Panthers. The classical example of the Nazis. Those were people who had a racist ideology. There was something inferior about another group of people for whatever reason. But everybody is bigoted. Every one of us has biases, known or unknown to us, that we ought to confront. I was out with the family yesterday. We went out for Mexican food. I got them all gift certificates at Christmas time, and we set this date back on Christmas to get together, and it was a lot of fun. And one of the things we got in a side discussion was somehow one of my nieces brought up the Myers-Briggs, and I told my sister-in-law, her mom, take this test and see what comes up. And I said, here's the thing that I find. It's very good for articulating who you are. It helps you recognize your weaknesses. It helps you appreciate your strengths. But the other thing it does too is it's that why certain people bother you, and it has nothing to do with them. You have thought it always has something to do with them, but it really has something to do with you. It's a great mirror for self-awareness. So we all have to be aware of bigotry in our lives, and subtle bigotry. My mom, I had to wean her off of saying she Jewed somebody down. That was a common phrase she, I believe, used growing up, and then continued to use. And of course it infers that Jews cheat people. Same thing with being gypped. I didn't realize that had any real connection to gypsies until probably college, maybe even after that. I don't know, maybe it was grad school. It's before I was a priest, but I stopped using gypped. The N word, which is, should be taboo for everybody, because it is a word just meant to stigmatize and people and put them down. It's a word meant to really inflict those memories of slavery. But rigging that, I remember that word growing up from, I don't know if my dad ever used it. My dad was pretty good about language, but some of my brothers. And so, you look at all those different things, and the key is just awareness. I think if you accidentally use something bigoted and you're not aware of it, once you are, then it's up to you to stop using it. Change your habits, change your vocabulary. But everybody's bigoted, everybody's biased, with the exception of Jesus. He is not, and probably the Blessed Mother, since she's without sin. But bigotry and bias all come from sin, or, you know, related either in pride or probably fear. We fear what's different, or we look down on what is different. Anyway, enough. Happy Feast Day of St. Charles Lwanga. Let's have peace.